it's Miranda. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hey, for the first time, subscribe, become a member of the Slashed Squad. Today is an unexpected third installment of a series I didn't think would become a thing on this channel, but that's right, I'm talking about menstrual cups again. So if you are brand new to the idea of menstrual cups, I strongly urge you to pause this video and watch my very first one, which I will link down below, which is more of a like, what is menstrual cups? Why menstrual cups? And like my first impressions slash review. Today's video, I'm very excited to announce, is in partnership with Lily Cup. Now, if you have seen my other two videos, you know that I bought the Lily Cup myself 2 years ago, and it's the one that I've stuck exclusively to, and I made those first two videos completely non-sponsored, but today we're partnering to share with you some tips and hacks to make using a menstrual cup easier. Like I just said, the Lily Cup is the one brand that I've used throughout my whole menstrual cup journey. I've mostly used the original, which is this style. I've also played around with the Lily Cup Compact, which is the one that folds down accordion style, and I will also leave the link in the description to my video comparing the two. But the Lily Cup original has been my favorite of the two. I find it's easier to use. Like I said, just watch the video if you want to know the differences. Now, I continually get comments on these videos that I've made, you know, a year, 2 years ago about menstrual cups and how to make it easier to use and how to like get used to it. Now that it's been about 2 years since I've been using a menstrual cup instead of tampons, I wanted to share with you my best tips on making the whole process easier and kind of getting over that learning curve. So let's jump right into it. So tip number one is I'm going to show you my favorite way to insert the cup and kind of make sure that it has sealed, because that's one question that I get all the time is how do you know it's in right? How do you know it's sealed? How do you know it's not gonna leak? So the fold that I like to do is called the taco fold. So when you're taking the Lily Cup, you can see that there's one side that is a little bit higher than the other. So you're gonna push down the side that is lower so that the lip goes downward and towards the back of the inside. Then you're going to pinch the sides so it rolls up even more, and that's how we're gonna insert it. So obviously we have like a tip and then the bottom. The tip is gonna go towards your tailbone when you're inserting, so towards you, and once it's in, you go ahead and let go. Now, here's what I do probably a little bit differently than other people is I slide it in or I insert it, but I keep most of the cup outside of the opening of the vagina just for now. Just hold your horses, wait a second. This is how I make sure that we have opened correctly and we have a seal. So when it's still about, you know, a quarter to halfway outside of me, I like to pinch the sides, which kind of helps any stuck parts open up. And I also like to give it a little tug. Now, if it slides out too easily, that probably means that some part is still folded and it's not quite grasping or suctioning onto the walls of your vagina. But if it gives you a little bit of resistance and you can feel that little bit of suction, that means that you probably have it so that it is sealed and you can go ahead and push it more up into place. Another good technique is to give it a little twist, which will also help kind of nudge things into place, and then once you give it the tug, see that it's sealed, you can push it up. Tip number two on using a menstrual cup is wear panty liner on the first day of your period. Now, I personally wait for my period to actually show up to put in my menstrual cup. I know there are some people who put it in a little preemptively, but I don't really like doing that. So the thing is that obviously if I see that my period has arrived and now it's time to put in my menstrual cup, there's already going to be some blood residue on the walls of my vagina and probably near the opening. So what I do is, you know, I wipe up best I can, I insert the menstrual cup, but because there is blood on the outside already from just starting my period, there's gonna be a little bit of I want to say fallout in makeup terms, but there's going to be a little bit of leakage, not necessarily from the cup, but what's from already outside. So I think a lot of people see that leakage on the first day and they don't think that they have sealed the cup right or they put it in wrong, but in reality, it's just leftover. So on your first day, wear a panty liner, and then once that residue kind of expels itself and you're exclusively using the menstrual cup and you're catching everything inside, then you're not going to get that problem and you can kind of wean yourself off of the panty liner. Now let's talk about pulling it out, because obviously this is a huge concern. It was one of my concerns when I first started using menstrual cups. I'm like, it's gonna get lost. I promise you, it will not get lost. There's nowhere for it to go. When the cup is inside you, you want to bear down, which is basically the same feeling as pooping. You're pushing. So your muscles are gonna push this farther down and more toward the opening of your vagina. Now, once you start to feel the stem, don't pull straight from the stem. That is not gonna be comfortable. You're gonna have a lot of suction resistance. Not fun. What you do want to do is you can kind of like start twisting it and getting it a little bit closer, a little bit farther out. Then what I do is I take my index finger and my thumb and start pinching the base, and I'll kind of try to work my hands upward so I can really get the middle of the cup and push inward. And what that's going to do is it's going to break that seal so you don't have the suction, and it's going to slide out a lot easier. Here's the thing, if you're tense and you're getting nervous about this and you know it's not coming out, it's not working, your muscles are probably contracting because you're so stressed. So if you need to, take a breather. Just stop. Just sit there, close your eyes, take a deep breath, maybe not if you're in a public bathroom. But seriously, you might just need to chill out for a second and then start again, because the more anxious you are about the situation, your muscles are gonna contract without you actually doing anything. So keep calm, carry on, try again, don't get discouraged. My next tip is if you feel that the cup that you have is a little too long for you, you have it all the way in, but you can still feel the stem towards the opening of your vagina, go ahead and snip the stem. You don't wanna snip, you know, too much farther up than that last ring, but you can snip it a little bit so that it fits better. Once it's inside you, you shouldn't be able to feel it at all, especially towards the opening of your vagina. So you can try to do that to make it fit a little bit better. My next tip, which is a very important one if you want to avoid having to take this out in public, is before you leave, do the dump and then reinsert. That way you have the entire cup to fill up over the course of 12 hours, because the Lily cup lasts about 12 hours before you have to take it out and put it back in. So I do that just to give myself a little bit of peace of mind. It resets my clock, and that way usually I won't have to dump it until I get home. If you do find yourself in a position where you do need to take it out in public, don't worry, it's not as crazy as you might think. Obviously, the ideal situation is being in like a onesie bathroom where there's a toilet and access to a sink. That's obviously the best solution, but if you're in a stall, it's okay. When I'm in a stall bathroom and I really feel the need to empty the cup, all I do is I take it out, I dump the blood, and then I wipe it up with some toilet paper. Especially if you're going home in the near future, wiping it up with toilet paper and reinserting is totally fine. Then when you get home, you can take it out and actually rinse it off. My next tip pertains to staining and how to avoid it. Now this is a brand new cup, and I'm not going to show you my other one because I didn't use this tip on my old cup, and it definitely has some discoloration. It's not like incredibly crazy, but you can definitely see it if I were to hold it up side by side, but I don't want to do that. The best way to avoid staining is when you take it out and you're about to rinse it off, rinse it in cold water first just to get everything off, and then you can rinse it in hot water to make it feel more clean. With my other cup, I never did that. I only ever rinsed it in hot water to get the germs off, and what happens is that the pigment ends up settling into the silicone. So rinse it off with cold water first, then hot, then you're ready to go. Now if you heard that tip too late and maybe you already have a little bit of discoloration on your cup, what you can do is set it out in the sun for a little bit, which will help lighten the stains. I don't like to leave it out where it's like super hot anywhere. I'll just place it on my windowsill for a little bit, maybe a day or two, and then you can start seeing those stains fade. But keep in mind that the stains are just aesthetic. The silicone is very clean, especially if you are taking care of it and boiling in between cycles. But yeah, I get it. You might not want to like pull it out and show your friends when it's got some discoloration on it. So yeah, leave it in the sun and that will lighten any discoloration. Now talking about cleaning the cup, my next tip pertains to the best way to get it perfectly clean for your next use. So what I do is in between periods, I will boil my cups in water for 7 minutes. After it's done boiling, I'll run it under some hot water and then just take a very soft toothbrush and run it under the rim of the Lily cup. So the Lily cup does have this spill guard rim, which I love because it makes things a lot less messy when you're taking it out, but you may not notice that right under the rim in that crease, you could end up with a little bit of residue. So a toothbrush is just a great way to get all the nooks and crannies squeaky clean. My last tip is don't give up. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. There is a learning curve with menstrual cups, and it can take maybe 2 to 3 periods for you to get the hang of it, and it's okay. So obviously, you know, put a pad down if you're not feeling super confident the first few times that you use it, and then eventually you will get the hang of it as you start to learn more about your body and how it works with the cup. A couple points on the Lily cup and why I decided to purchase it as my first menstrual cup a couple of years ago and why I've stuck to it exclusively. One of the main reasons was the design and the shape. Obviously it does have this kind of slanted cone shape, and I feel like that makes inserting a lot easier and it makes folding the cup for insertion a lot easier. Also, the silicone is incredibly soft and very flexible, which also helps with comfort. Plus the fact that this can last up to 12 hours, which is a little bit more than some other cups, really spoke to me, and I can be honest when I say that for 12 hours during the day when I have my period, I can forget that I'm on my period. That's awesome. Thank you to Lily Cup for sponsoring this video. I will leave the link to buy this online down below. I bought it from their website during like a Black Friday sale one year, and it has changed my life. If you learned something new today, hit the thumbs up button and be sure to comment below if you have any questions at all. I do my best to answer all of them, whether it's the newer videos or that first menstrual cup video I ever made. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Become a member of the Slashed Squad. I make videos every Saturday, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!